As educators, we want the best for our students. Sometimes the best for our students means going outside of the classroom. I know for me, some of the best experiences I had was when I took my students out to local businesses and community partners and did activities with them. In this episode, we're going to talk to Aimee Dibrienza and talk about how at SUU you can set up a partnership with an outside agency, such as a local business or company, and improve the academic experience of our students. Welcome back to the Center for Teaching Innovation podcast, where we focus on teaching and learning at the higher education level. Today I have Aimee Dibrienza, who is the Assistant Director of Adult and Workforce Education at SUU's Community and Workforce Development Program. Aimee, welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself a little more than what I just did?
Sure. Thank you. I have been at SUU now for a couple of years, and prior to that, I spent 24 years doing some 12 education as a teacher, specifically secondary and middle school, and then as an administrator, K through 8 administrator, and an instructional coach, and doing some instructional coaching for the Utah State Board of Education, training instructional coaches in the state.
And I know we've talked before about adult education and andragogy and other topics.
Great topic.
It is. And we could definitely continue talking about that. But today we're talking about how to work with industry partners.
Such fun stuff. This is my jam right now. So let me tell you a little bit about when I first came on. I felt like we had worked with a couple of industry partners, particularly Best Friends. We have a lot of programming with Best Friends, programs that feed bachelor's degrees and also CEUs that people can obtain through our department that were built in conjunction with Best Friends, which then can roll into an MIS, MBA, or MPA degree, which has been a pretty cool option. And we've had a lot of people actually matriculate from our program into SUU's programs and then actually graduate, which is really encouraging. It shows that adult education can be a pathway back into degree programs for folks who maybe didn't think that they were going to do that before. But like I said, we kind of started with Best Friends and the Utah Municipal Clerks Association as our initial industry partnerships. And since then, we have so many, I probably will forget some if I try to lay them out for you. But some of the really exciting ones that we're working with right now are the advanced manufacturing industry here in southwestern Utah. And we're building some really exciting, kind of amazing programs with those folks, as well as we have partnerships in cybersecurity and in tourism and hospitality and behavioral health and some other areas. So,
advanced manufacturing. Tell me about that, because that's a term I haven't heard.
It's interesting. So everything in the world has become techier than it used to be. It's where the term new-collar worker came up, right? The jobs that we used to consider blue-collar are now new-collar because there's so much tech involved. Manufacturing is one of those industries where tech has evolved to a point where people aren't really on a conveyor belt, making widgets anymore. That's not what manufacturing looks like. There's a tremendous amount of technology, and we have a really thriving manufacturing market. A lot of creators, designers, engineers, whatever, are developing products here in southern Utah. One of the industry partners that we're working with right now is Align Precision, and they make, of course, airplane parts, every different kind of aerospace part you can imagine. Align Precision makes. We work with BZI, which is a big steel tech company, and they do warehouse manufacturing, where they're building gigantic warehouses and building new tech in order to build those warehouses, which is pretty fascinating. I mean, there's a lot of manufacturing happening in the area, but one of the things we've been able to do with those partners is get them to sit down at the table with faculty members and with me as the instructional designer and kind of the coordinator for those curriculum teams, and just start to build programs that are really well designed for adult learners. We have the expertise and experience of these faculty members, the great teachers that they are, and their wealth of experience. And then we have this very current and emerging trending information coming out of these industry partners. They know exactly what skills their people need. They know what's happening within the industry. So when we sit down at the table to build curriculum, it's kind of magical, to be honest with you. It's really fun to see faculty members start asking current and relevant questions of these industry partners and industry partners asking, what's the best way for us to teach that? And just to see the collaboration that happens at the table. There's this beautiful synthesis, that happens when we get industry partners and faculty partners together to build something. So
bringing that expertise together can be fascinating. Just you get them together, and then you just sit back and have your popcorn.
Oh, I'm not eating popcorn, Matt. But I'll tell you what I am doing, and I think this is why the program that we've built, the model that we've built is working so well. And it's because they're talking and I'm trying to capture everything that they're saying. And in my mind, as an instructional designer, I'm looking at the arc of the information that we need to teach, what order it needs to go in, what are the most hands-on, applicable, skills-based ways that we can have our folks practicing those things, what will give them the most authentic experience. So the industry partners and the faculty partners are throwing out all these ideas, and it's amazing, right? And I'm the one that gets to kind of try to put all that together and figure out, how do we teach that? And not only how do we teach it often online, not always, but often online. How do we teach it in a short course format, which is what's really appealing to adult learners these days? How do we teach it to those adults who are, they're as busy as you and me? They're juggling a whole life, a full career and families and, their whole community and life and everything. So how do we present that information in a way that is going to meet their needs and that will really make a difference for them? Because that's really the goal for all of us, right? Is that we're making a difference for these people, that they're going to experience our programs. Maybe they're going to be encouraged to join SUU in a degree program if they don't already have a degree or if they want an advanced degree, but maybe they won't. What we're really looking for is life impact. Is this going to get you a better job? Is it going to help you climb a career ladder? Will it help you move laterally within your company to do something that's new and interesting and captivates your imagination? It's really about impact for us.
When you get the industry partners and the faculty together, what are some of the things that you do to prepare ahead of time before you have them meeting together and throwing out these ideas that you're trying to encapsulate into some kind of document that can say, this is what we need to do?
Sure. Yeah, there's homework on both sides, actually. And that's why I kind of consider myself the coordinator of the curriculum committee. It takes all of the people on the curriculum committee to make it work. But what I do prior to sitting down at the table is first I'm going to be talking with the industry partner about what are your training needs. And very often they come to us. SUU is starting to build a reputation for wanting to be connected to the community, for providing these types of services. We have a couple of visible pathways out in the community now. So businesses are starting to recognize that SUU wants to work with you, and they're really excited to work with us. So usually they will approach us and say, okay, here are the things that we need to train our staff on, and we're not quite sure how to do it. Can you help us build something? And I'll go through and say, okay, be explicit with me about what your learning outcomes are. What are the specific things that you want your folks to learn, right? And then tell me a little bit about your learner. Tell me about what their day looks like, because especially in manufacturing, for example, I mean, it's the same in nursing. Sometimes you're having these, 12-hour shifts, right? And they work kind of an interesting rotation. So you have to understand the learner a little bit. So I work with the industry partner to understand their learning outcomes, their goals, and their learners. And then I work with faculty to find out what already exists on our campus. We have so many resources. We have so much brilliant curriculum. We've put so much time and invested so much work into being a really high quality educational institution. It is possible that some of this content that they need already is here, right? And so I'm working with those kind of pieces before we begin. I try to get a feel for the faculty members and how connected they might already be with industry. Some of our faculty members are working with industry partners all the time, which is lovely. They already know how to have those conversations. They've already got connections, their professional networking in place, which is great. But even if that's not the case, they're usually eager to sit down at that table, right? So I do that homework prior, and then I start thinking about time. Example, when we built with the Utah Tourism Industry Association and visit Cedar City, Bryan Head, the local tourism bureau, one of the things that we learned was that we had tried to offer a course in the summer And that did not work for people working in tourism, right? And then we tried to offer it in the dead of winter, and that didn't work for people working in like the ski resorts, for example. Nobody in Bryan Head wanted to take a class in January for obvious reasons, right? So you kind of have to take a look at your industry and go, when are the times when education is going to work well for your people, you know? So I keep those sorts of things in mind before we sit down to the table, and then the ideas start to flow and we start to put together something that really works. An example would be we're building an integrated manufacturing and engineering pathway right now with BZI, Aligned Precision, and Made in Southern Utah, which is a really large association of manufacturers here. And one of the things that we thought we were going to provide was this kind of 4-course sequence, ending with a class, which, as it turned out, when we started working with the industry partners, they really didn't need that last class that we had in mind. What they wanted instead was some computer-aided design and drafting at the beginning. And so we kind of switched around the pathway. And now we have this lovely pathway that will take these learners from basic taking a drawing and putting it into a computer-aided drawing, fabricating it manually on machines so they understand the concrete, nature of that process, and then moving into computer-aided design and computer CNC software and applications, right? So they've experienced the entire arc of this design to production. And because so many people working in manufacturing are only experiencing one step of that process, they don't see the entire arc, right? And that's what the industry partner wanted, was some continuity. They wanted the whole picture.
Yeah. So I have a question that kind of goes back a little bit to, you talked about short form courses. Mm-hmm. And the fact that you run into, especially with this tour, using that example of the tourism program, do you believe that's a big reason why people like the short form, or is there another reason? And when you say short form, are you talking the 7-week courses that SU has moved to, or I know there's other programs around the country that have even shorter programs. So
we have some that are shorter. We have some that are longer. We enjoy that 7-week format for a couple of reasons. It really allows us to be sort of flexible with whatever the flow of the industry year is for our partners. It also allows us to work with faculty in a way that they're kind of already familiar with, right? We like to use faculty as instructors when we can. Sometimes we use industry experts who aren't faculty as instructors. That requires a little bit more onboarding, but I also think that there's a benefit to that. They get some interesting experience. They have a lot of interesting experience and perspective to share with the students, but we do like the session format, the 7-week session format. It's a really great compromise. It's a meeting in the middle, right? Which is a lot of what we do. We're sitting down at the table and we're talking with these industry partners and with faculty, and we have to be able to speak the same language. Which can be a challenge if we don't have any structures to start with, I remember hearing Michael Barr speak once at a conference that I was involved with, where he talked about, you want to get out of the box, but before you can get out of it, you need a box. You have to start with the box, right? And that even improvisation, if you give it some parameters, it works a little bit better. So I tend to start the design process thinking in those 7-week sessions, because faculty is familiar with it and it's a short enough form that industry partners can wrap their heads around that too, right? Whereas a lot of adult learners, like thinking in semesters is a no. Thinking in years, definite no.
I was just talking to someone about how faculty and even instructional designers often see the bigger picture of a program. Mm-hmm. That we're preparing students here at their second year of college, knowing what they're going to be dealing with in their 4th year of college.
Right.
And that sounds like what you run into with industry partners too, of having to be able to show them that whole picture of, we're doing this here.
Yeah.
Because when they get to here, we want them to have these skills.
Yes, and some of them have some interesting parameters that we have to hit as well. A good example would be there's a new federal bill that was passed in fall of 22, and the acronym is IRA, which off my head I can't remember what it stands for.
But it provides tax incentives and funding for people that are employing folks in clean energy. And fossil fuel energy is slowly going away, right? We live in a state where there's been a lot of fossil fuel energy produced here.
for a long time. So we're working with these communities that used to be really heavy into mining, and they're having to make some adaptations. We have new companies coming in. Fervo up in Beaver is going to be this, it's already a gigantic company, but the plant that they're building is pretty spectacular. And so this IRA funding is working to incentivize companies working, especially kind of in rural spaces, in places where mining used to be a pretty significant factor economically, in the process of developing clean energy. And the funding is mostly about, the side of the funding that I see anyway, is mostly about having registered apprenticeships. Well, there's 144-hour-a-year registered technical instruction, which is basically coursework, that these registered apprentices need to be enrolled in to be a registered apprentice and for their company to qualify for IRA incentives, right?
Okay.
So one of the things that we're working with right now at SUU is to build a program with the geology department and with the basic apprenticeship program, where we're able to take these apprentices already working with the clean energy company and put them into courses that meet both the learning outcomes that they're looking for in their companies, but also might funnel them into more geology coursework that might be appropriate for them, in their work. And so, we provide the classes through community and workforce development. We work with faculty and those industry partners to make sure that we've built something that works, and we hope that it benefits everybody. But yeah.
So now, you mentioned earlier about some of these have led into people getting their degrees from SUU.
Yeah.
And when you're putting these programs together, is there that thought process early on of, we really would like, using geology as an example,
yes,
we'd really like this geoscience degree or these courses to translate into a geoscience degree if a student decides to pursue that?
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I work closely with deans and faculty members to see how would this program fit into what already exists, into your existing infrastructure. Where would it make the most sense? Sometimes the credits that people can earn doing one of our programs will articulate just as elective credit within a degree program, but sometimes they actually can course substitute, which an example of that would be the cybersecurity pathway that we're running right now. This is one of those IRA type apprenticeships where it's a registered apprenticeship, and they take 3 courses through a community and workforce development for 9 credits. All 3 of those courses can articulate straight across for required courses within the cybersecurity bachelor's degree, and they're sequential courses. The first is the prerequisite for the second, which is a prerequisite for the third type situation. And so what we're hoping is that we've given a really easy pathway. If someone finishes a pathway with us, and we've worked hard with the dean of a department to make sure that it's going to articulate in ways that complement the existing degree program, it's a really easy sell. You already have 9 credits towards this degree program. Are you interested in finishing? You want to have that degree. You know what I mean? And that's a really fun conversation to have. And in fact, it's been fascinating to watch our department develop. We've hired a bunch of people lately.
I know you have. Every time we have a learning development, it's like, oh yeah.
We have more people. So we have 2 positions that will be coming on here very shortly within the next couple of weeks, whose primary role is to connect our learners with SUU programs when they're interested in that, and to kind of encourage that, right? To be the hand holder and give the warm handoff from community and workforce development into these degree programs, to make those introductions to faculty members and advisors and really try to help them be T-birds.
So if I'm a faculty member here at SUU and I have an idea to be part of this program and make a connection with an industry partner in the area, what are my steps?
I would say first email or call me. I won't spell out my email address for you, but I'm sure Matt will provide it.
We can put that in the...
It's long and obnoxious. But my extension's 8524. And just give me a phone call. If I'm not in the office because I'm meeting with industry partners or faculty or whatever, I'm often in meetings, but
But 8524, give me a phone call, leave me a message, and we'll connect and we'll start talking about it. Sometimes faculty members already know which industry partners they want to work with. They're already developing some of those relationships. They worked with them before.
They're hearing their names around the community, right? And sometimes they don't. And either way, we can make it happen. I will say that one of the things that we're working really hard on right now is trying to make sure that the programs that we're developing are aligned with President Benson's initiatives, some of the business visits that she is doing and the outreach that she's doing into the community. We're trying to check back with that team, and make sure that everything that we're doing is in line with SU's strategic plan. So sometimes I have to pause and check my alignment, and make sure I'm right there. But it's rewarding because I feel like community and workforce development, in conjunction with these industry partners and our faculty partners, campus partners all over campus, we're really forwarding the mission of SUU. I feel like I'm a part of a movement right now, which is to connect higher education in the community, and it's powerful.
Great. Anything else you want to share with our listeners?
Just talk to me. If you have an idea, please reach out. We're really excited to work with campus partners. Every time a campus partner reaches out, we're thrilled, and we're excited to be a team with you.
Well, Aimee, thank you for your time today, and I look forward to seeing additional partnerships. I was part of the Best Friends program when it started up and helping them get their courses in place and going there. So it's exciting to see that program plus others that have been added.
Yeah. Thanks so much for this opportunity, Matt.
As we can see, learning doesn't just happen inside the classroom. Sometimes we need to take that extra step and reach out and set up that partnership that will give our students a different experience. In our next episode, we're going to be talking to Professor Richard Saunders about scholarly work, both with writing articles and books. We look forward to seeing you back here for another episode of Southern Utah University's Teaching and Learning Podcast.